Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to COS Indiana Live. My name's Dale Parrish. I'm the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana, and so glad to have you tonight. Can't believe it's the 1st of August already, isn't it? Well, I tell you, this year does it just seems to be flying by. Football season's about ready to start, so that's an exciting time around my family and household. So looking forward to that. Well, I want to bring on my co-host who's been with me for a while now. And you all know him now, Mr. Ken Kashuba, excuse me.
You always struggle with that a little bit.
I always kind of struggle with that, don't I?
Yeah, but there should be no mistake with a U there, Dale.
There shouldn't be. No, there shouldn't be. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
You know, if I had a French name or something like that, I could understand it. But you know.
Well, Ken, he has a couple duties tonight as part of his co-hosting obligation. Ken will be reviewing and monitoring all the comments that we get and questions. So if you have a comment or question, feel free to enter that either whether you're viewing on Facebook or through our YouTube channel, Indiana Patriots for Convention of States. So you're going to be checking those out, Ken?
Yes, we'll be keeping an eye on them. Hopefully there'll be plenty of them there. You know, we are in the dog days of summer, though. But
we are. But you know, our the number of comments and questions we've been getting is continuing to increase, isn't it?
It's been on the rise. Yep.
And new names, new viewers.
Always good to see.
Been yes, a very very positive
responses.
Yep, very very positive for us. Yes. Well, this is number 160 broadcast. And
what's that 28 there, Dale? What is that number 28?
Somebody slipped that in. I believe I'm according to my script here. I believe that's how many broadcasts you have been on.
Oh, I see.
Is that right?
It is, and I guess it's there to help you with your math, but
you sure it's not just 8, but it is 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Math and memory both start with an M, Dale.
So this is your 28th broadcast.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel old.
You know, at an average of 4 broadcasts a month, that's 7 months, isn't it? A little math lesson there for you.
Yeah. Plus, here we are. A couple of months away from some exciting times in our voting history. Anyway, coming up. So
that's for
hard
sure.
to believe it's around the corner.
That's for sure. That's for sure. It's getting here. It's getting here.
I think some people are saying it's not getting here quick enough.
Not getting here fast enough. That's for sure. I would be one of those. Yes. But yes, tonight's broadcast is number 160, and hard to believe that we've been doing this this long.
That's an amazing count. Yeah.
And we're striving to hit that 200 mark, and so.
And 160, we're finally starting to get it down, I think.
Well, we're certainly trying, aren't we? We're certainly trying. Yes.
Well, we've had our share of technical difficulties, but yeah, I mean that's to be expected. So.
Oh man, have we had our share? I'll tell you. All right. Just want to point out a few things here before we get started, before we get our guest on here. our national website, conventionofstates.com. Now, you're going to hear us make reference to that website from time to time. And if you're not a supporter of Convention of States, which you're the ones that we're trying to reach with this broadcast, the first step to take is to go to that website, conventionofstates.com, and sign the petition and log in and sign up to be a supporter of Convention of States. Very, very, very important step. Very first step. Might also want to mention every fourth Monday of the month, we dedicate the broadcast to a roundtable. So it's a roundtable discussion. The format's different. We got a roundtable panel of leadership individuals, and we talk about various topics that many of which are very hot topics, right, Ken? I mean,
yeah, they seem to cover the hot topics, and usually a very important special guest. Usually,
that's right. That's right. So, and the discussions end up quite interesting. We talked on the last roundtable, which was July 25th. We talked about abortion. We talked about some other Supreme Court decisions, recent ones that have been made. So
yeah, I imagine the abortion thing could come back as another discussion as we're looking at. I understand West Virginia has already acted on their part.
Yes, I wasn't aware that they were that far along. Yeah.
And we're certainly in line. So I'm sure as we keep an eye on that going forward, it could come back to be another important hot topic for the roundtable.
I think, am I right? The House is dealing with the bill, the proposed Senate bill this week, I believe, aren't they?
Yep, this week as we speak.
Yeah. So, yep, exciting. Well, and even our discussion that we had on the last roundtable, we had some different views, some different opinions. Yep. So we're not all thinking totally the same.
All conservatives aren't made from the same cookie cutter, are they?
No. I think we won't. We'll save. I'll save those thoughts for another time.
Probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But what we have been doing here on this broadcast this year is we've been focusing on what action can you take by joining Convention of States. And when we talk about action, Ken, we're talking about activism. How can you express your activism by joining Convention of States? And we offer many different ways, right, Ken? I mean, it's.
No, I think as we've learned, there's so many ways. There was some that I think originally we weren't even really thinking of, but
that's right. I think you're right. Yeah, and and I'm gonna mention this, that when originally, when I thought about activism, being an activist, I thought, attending rallies, testifying, telepatriot, making phone calls, type of thing. But as I thought about it more, and as we got into this more, taking on a leadership role that's a form of activism. That's as a matter of fact, we have people in leadership roles that are also active as activists. So it's all one and the same. It's just whatever way fits your makeup and fits your desires. The important thing is that you do something, that you do whatever it is, right, Ken?
Right. I think that describes a lot of us as to why we're here in the first place. At this point is because we got tired of being inactive, and expecting things to go the way that we'd like to see them go, and then decided the only way to make changes was to get active, and that brings up our GOTC acronym of get off the couch.
Get off the couch. That's right.
I mean, I think a lot of us find it's time to get off the couch because we can't. I mean, either our television is broke from things that we've thrown at it, or we're tired of the TV not responding. So,
oh my, isn't that something? Isn't that something? Well, we have a special guest tonight, and this, I think, is a good example of an individual that is expressing his activism through taking on a leadership role. We're going to be talking to Mr. Dale Tipton, and Dale is our new state grassroots coordinator. So we're going to bring Dale on in a minute or two here, and you're going to get to meet him, and we'll talk about the importance of our grassroots and what his job and his function is all about. So I think that's going to be an excellent interview for everyone tonight. Time permitting, which we always, I say that, and so many times we don't have the time, but time permitting, we've got a contributor segment tonight. John Ackerman does some contributions for us. These are pre-recorded dissertations, you might want to say, and we call them, for John, it's John's Journal. We've lumped them together as John's Journal. So it's John Ackerman. He's going to be talking about smaller governments. Very good one. Very good.
Always good to hear from John.
Yeah. And then we have the Raise Your Voice segment, and Ken, I'm going to let you briefly explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I think people are finally getting to the point that they're familiar with this segment. It is obviously our polling segment that we use our Slido software on, which allows people to participate in our program. And it's important that that we get that type of participation, because we're looking for topics that our viewers want to see, and it also allows us to communicate a lot of different things back and forth through the presentation. So with a smartphone, I'm going to go ahead and bring up that QR code so people can see the different QR codes that we use with a phone and you should be seeing it right about now. The QR code that you can hold your phone up to and join our Slido.com promotion tonight, as we talk about our deals.
Not showing up.
Not showing up. Now that should be showing up. Let's see. Where? Yeah, it should be right now. I believe it is.
Okay, there you go. Now
there it is. Okay, talk about technical difficulties.
Yeah, talk about technical difficulties.
Yeah, there's one extra button that I have to push to make that show up. So there it is. There's our QR code, which you can hit hit with your smartphone, and you'll be logged in right off the bat, so you can participate in that presentation tonight. And if you don't have a smartphone, just go to Slido.com and put in the numbers 3138-247, and that QR code again will show up as we begin that segment as well on the left-hand column. So if you don't get it right away, if you have to run and get your phone, don't worry. We will be back with that when the presentation starts. So that's the QR code, and we can take it back to you, Dale.
Now, Ken, didn't you tell me we've got a couple polling questions, but you got a quiz question, right?
Yeah, we learned last time that with technical difficulties that running the quiz is a little bit different than putting up the questions, and the quiz never got off the ground last time. So we're going to try it again tonight. We have another quiz, which will be the third and final question, or third and final portion of our segment. So stay tuned.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Well, let's get going here. As I mentioned earlier, that our theme this year has been Convention of States and activism, and how you can express your activism through Convention of States. So with that in mind, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking tonight with our Indiana Convention of States Grassroots Coordinator. So let's bring on Mr. Dale Tipton, and he's still in the lobby, so I'm going to bring him on, Ken. Okay.
All right.
There he is. Hello, Dale.
Greetings. How are you guys?
Good, Dale. Good to see you.
On here, Dale Tipton, State Grassroots Coordinator. So
you didn't have too many of those donuts down in that green room, did you, Dale?
You know, the pickings were kind of slim, Ken. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You know what they're saying? You know, the shelves on the grocery markets are a little thin, so you can't expect much, Dale.
That's true.
Well, you know, I've never mentioned this before, but you know, the co-host is supposed to buy the donuts.
That was not part of my contract.
I didn't mention that to you.
No, you never did.
Sorry about that. Okay. Another reason for a raise, right? Another reason for a raise.
We'll talk about that, Dale.
All right. Well, Dale, now you're located up in the northwest corner of Indiana, right?
That's correct. Just about 10 miles south of the tip of Lake Michigan in Porter County.
Okay. Good. Well, I always ask any and all leadership individuals that come on our broadcast, the very first thing I ask them to do is tell us your COS, your Convention of States story, the how, when, where you got involved in Convention of States. So take it away, Dale.
All right. Well, you know, I was thinking back. I've always been kind of interested in reading about politics and, you know, what's going on in the world, and in as much as how it affects me and my family and all those kind of things. And I guess as time has passed, my interest was, you know, a little bit, you know, more and more, you know, it seemed to grow over the years. And so then I got to the time of about the November 2020 presidential election, which was kind of a big deal. And I think, like a lot of people, after it was over, I scratched my head a bit, and there were some things to me that didn't exactly make sense. And
what could have possibly been? I don't know why. It was the fairest election ever, wasn't it?
Well, that's what they told us, right? And you know, I went to sleep thinking one thing, and I woke up realizing something else. And so I started to do a little digging, and I just had some concerns about things that didn't seem quite right to me. And so I started the reading process, and I utilize Facebook to bring in a lot of different news feeds from various places, you know, different sites and whatever that I like or follow or whatever. And so I had never actually heard of it before, but for some reason I end up with a flash on my page talking about it. It's a Convention of States thing. And I thought, well, what is that? I've never even heard of this. And so it seemed odd to me that all of a sudden that would show up. This was probably sometime late December, I'd say, probably. And so I started looking into that a little bit. I went to the site, conventionofstates.com, and I started to read. And I'm looking at Article 5 and all that they're talking about can happen through Article 5. And I'm thinking, I don't remember ever learning about Article 5 even in school. So, you know, talking about how the Constitution could be amended, you know, the different ways and whatever. And I thought, well, gee, this is constitutional. This is good. And so you know, I mean, the world was so split in our world of politics in the United States that I thought, well, at least this is something that could be worked on that's constitutionally got some backbone to it instead of just a bunch of people's opinions. So I did a little bit more research, and I went to the Take Action tab that they have there and started looking at the different positions I could apply for. And somewhere I read that the district captains were kind of a big deal, and they always needed more district captains. And you know, if you had some spare time, I was retired at the time, so I thought, well, I've got time. I'll throw my shoe in the ring to be a district captain. Put the application in, and within a short period of time, a day or two, you know, I got a couple of people calling me up, asking me a bunch of questions, and kind of feeling out what my interest was and everything. So I ended up putting in an application and became a district captain. So that basically dealt with, you know, my house district, which was Indiana 9, you know, getting to know the representatives there and trying to spread the word about what Convention of States is all about to people within my district. And so I started laboring away at that, and that went on for a few months. And I get a call one day that this Gary Harbaugh fellow wanted to see me. And so I went over and met him for dinner, I think in South Bend. And the subject came up of region captains and what region captains do. And apparently there was a need for a region captain somewhere that just happened to be in my area. And I thought, he says, well, you should think about this. And he gives me a manual to look at and whatever. So I think about that for a while. And I said, well, okay, if you need a region captain, I'll be a region captain. And so a region captain, basically, I was in Region 1, which is primarily Lake and Porter counties, a little bit of Newton County, pretty much everything that was in the central time zone in Indiana. And I had 11 House districts there. And so then my responsibilities became recruiting and training district captains, volunteers, still trying to spread the word, but trying to grow the grassroots, if you could say that, in Region 1. And so I kind of got into that and kind of got into a groove and was relatively happy and content. And there's a theme here, if you can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. we don't want you to get too happy, and settled in. So after that went on for a while and I got to experience that, then this, the state grassroots coordinator came up, and a little more time, a little more effort probably, but I still had time. And I've told my wife and my family that Convention of States has kind of become my retirement job. And that's kind of, whenever I'm not doing errands for my wife, this is what I do. And so that's something good to keep me busy and keep me out of her hair, I think. So that's kind of got me up to this point. So it's been a great experience, and I've worked with some really good people so far. And as the time has passed, I guess the thought in my mind about this being the thing that we all need to be doing has just coalesced even more, because I can't think of anything else that any of us can do that would be more positive. I mean, to echo Ken's comments, I've got a lot of friends that yell at the TV. They read a lot. They get mad at their wives because everybody's upset. Or the wives get mad at their husbands. There's just a lot of anxiety out there because I think people are worried, concerned, stressed about the direction that the country's going without having an outlet for it. And so to me, Convention of States has become that outlet. All right. Cool. Very, very good. Very
Good
good.
story. Good story. Yep.
We got some background noise here. Is that me doing that, or I don't know? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Just briefly, I just want to mention this. You want to tell everybody what your occupation was before retirement?
Sure. I spent 24 years with the FBI as a special agent in Chicago and then Merrillville, Indiana.
All right. We get a lot of mileage out of that, but Dale being former FBI. But I also want to say that Dale's area, Dale's region, has always been a difficult area for us in the state to get a foothold in, and to get district captains on board, not to mention a region captain. So Dale came on and stepped in and did the job. So it was we're very thankful that Dale came on, and he's really made a big impact. So we've put him into an even bigger job now. So as a grassroots coordinator. So very good, Dale. Let's move on here. We throw the term grassroots around quite a bit because it's a very important feature, a very important part of Convention of States. Give us in your opinion the importance of grassroots.
Well, if you think about grassroots from just a pure, if you can imagine in your mind eye, your lawn out there growing, and the importance of the roots that undermine that lawn system. And then you think about how many lawn systems there are across Indiana and across the United States, right? And so the grassroots are really just kind of the lowest level of just kind of ordinary people that are just living their lives, not particularly a member of one group or another, just kind of that key element of society that kind of supports the work, pays the taxes, and does the things that basically keeps the country growing. And so I look at that as far as your screen there, Dale. You've got that "We the People" sitting there behind you, and so "We the People" is really the grassroots.
That's right.
That is, I mean, that is kind of what it all comes down to. And currently, with Convention of States, there's, I think the last I read, it was like 5.3 million grassroots supporters. And so that's common folks like the three of us that have, that signed on, that are supporting what Convention of States is trying to do. And really to make an impact in a state legislature, the only thing that really matters is the opinions of the constituents for the people that elected these folks. Right. And so that's really one of the few things they pay attention to, besides their reelection effort, is, what are the opinions of the people that voted for me? Because if there are too many opinions that you don't agree with, then, you've got yourself a problem. So the grassroots raising their voice, as indicated in this segment you mentioned earlier, that's extremely important. Our problem in the past has been that the grassroots is often silent, and it takes something pretty significant, like your country being involved in a train wreck, to activate the grassroots army that we're trying to build. And so that's kind of what that's all about.
I would agree totally. Yes, we're a very people have to understand. Convention of States is not. We don't have a central office anywhere. We don't have a multi-story office building anywhere. We are an organization made up of grassroots activists, and so. It's a very, very bottom up type organization.
Sure, and I would add volunteer grassroots activists, because it's not like anybody's receiving a paycheck for the work that they're doing either.
Right. So, although Ken wants to get a paycheck all the time, but I can't do that because we're all volunteers, and that's a very important part. So yes, we the people. That's the grassroots. And that's the importance of it. Well, then let's move on with the next topic then. What are the duties then of a state grassroots coordinator?
Well, I could just cut this real short and say the duties of the state grassroots coordinator are whatever the state director tells the state grassroots coordinator that they should be doing.
Now that's not exactly true.
That's an ever-growing list. Be careful.
So basically, a state grassroots coordinator is responsible for, within the Convention of States system, and there's a database that we use and everything, and there's constantly people that are coming into the system that we define as supporters. And so the state grassroots coordinator, as the title implies, tries to link up with all these folks and promote their involvement and their activism within Convention of States. You try to uplift, you try to encourage, you try to motivate, and you try to get people to get off the couch, as you guys like to say, and to get out and do something on their own. Because this is something that most people, and I was a perfect example. I thought I was involved in stuff, and I realized that after that significant election, that I defined myself a good citizen by saying I always went to vote, and I realized after that election that sometimes voting is just not enough, and so as a grassroots coordinator, you encourage people to do something more than just to vote. To get out there, to get involved, to do, there's a myriad of things that you can get involved in. And, as far as, it's kind of an endless list of things that you can do if you have the opportunity. But we try to motivate those folks, provide them with training to use the tools that Convention of States has available. I've heard people say that have been around Convention of States for a number of years that there didn't used to be any tools, and it was kind of fly by the seat of your pants to develop your own plan about what you wanted to do. But now things are very streamlined, and there's Convention of States University. There's wonderful training programs that happen, webinars and things that go on weekly or almost daily to some degree. all kinds of things on YouTube and resources through COS University that a person can really learn about the things that you should have learned in school, but you probably didn't. And to be effective at talking about what we want to do with Article 5, which is to call a state-led amending convention to address problems that they won't address in Congress, then people need to be educated to be able to talk about it. Because if people ask you questions and you can't answer them, then that's a problem. So we have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to express ourselves in ways that we can move people to action, and we can affect opinions.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, Ken, we getting any questions or comments yet?
Oh, a few comments. We have a comment just recently here from Scott Goldsberry, who's joined us again this week. He says lots of unlegal things happened during that last election. He's referring obviously to Dale's comment about the 2020 election. So people recognize that they're in the same. They were recognizing the same thing as you, Dale, in that situation. And for me, it went back to 2016. I noticed it back then. So. That's what got me started was the same reason that Dale got involved was it's like, okay, I've pulled that lever so many times and I'm not getting any younger and I'm not seeing any more results. So it was time to get off the couch and actually find some ways to actually see that my voice was being heard. So yeah.
Yeah, and one of the key things for me was the fact back at 2008, 2010. That's when the Tea Party factions were big. And that started to sweep change across the country. And in fact, I think there were some 50 or so representatives that came into Congress, on the heel of this big wave that was being pushed by the Tea Party. And then you realized after those guys were in there for a while that nothing really changed. And the problem seems to be that if you put good people in a broken system, you're still not going to get anything done. And so Convention of States became even more paramount, I think, as a way to fix the system, because you just can't keep throwing good people in there and, have them stymied and not able to accomplish anything.
One of our, as a matter of fact, one of our founders of Convention of States, Mark Meckler, came out of the Tea Party movement. That was where he got his start, his involvement. And like you, Dale, I've heard him talk about this before, but he saw where Convention of States was a way to continue that movement. So
we have one more comment I was going to show up by Scott, only because I wanted to bring up the fact that he's talking about he's been disappointed with Todd Young. And I bring this up to the point that we've talked about being disappointed at the ballot box, but it's both sides. I mean, let's be real here. We're not just against what we see typically from the Democratic Party, but we have our own problems with the Republican Party too. Right. And so I just wanted to pass that along that Scott's showing his disappointment with Todd Young, and that's we have to try, and that's another one of our jobs is to kind of keep the rein on both sides of the aisle.
One of the pillars of the resolution that Convention of States wants to use to call a Convention of States is to address the national debt, and it doesn't make any difference which party's in control. It seems
that we've
spending
seen
continues, and this is not just a one-party thing. So
we do have one more question, which I think is a good one, and this one is directed towards you as well, Dale, especially with your background, obviously spending 30 some odd years with the FBI. Susan Lyon brings up a very good question. Do you think we can count 100% on the integrity of the current FBI?
No.
Simple answer.
Unfortunately, I mean, for the largest part of my career, I was so proud to be there. The FBI is probably one of the best law enforcement organizations, if not the best in the world. But after James Comey was appointed the director of the FBI, it became political at the highest levels. The agents, the people that are out there working day to day, most of those folks are true blue, golden people, that are just out there to do the job. But they came kind of immersed in politics there at the top end, and things really started to go south. To the point that recently, I mean, you've got a Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who actually kind of tells the FBI what to do. He's the head of the Justice Department, of which the FBI is a part. And now you've got investigations into parents, seeking redress at their local school board meetings because of either this wild gender teaching or critical race theory or any number of things that they're disappointed about. And you've actually got cases of these folks being investigated by the Bureau and being labeled with threat tags that they are in fact domestic extremists because they express a heated opinion at a school board meeting. Maybe besides that, they're gun owners, which is another red flag these days, it seems, for folks. Or I can remember even one of the fellows that was arrested on the January 6th deal on a documentary that I saw whenever the agents were there taking pictures of his place where they did the search warrant. He had a pocket constitution. And they took a pocket constitution and they put it in a prominent place, and then they photographed it as evidence. And so think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really just kind of incredible. And so I guess the trend has been since the Obama White House to utilize, it started out with the IRS that was going after patriot groups and things to hassle them, give them problems over their tax exempt status and all those other kind of things, to unscheduled audits and all of that. And now it's gone over to other government agencies, to include the Bureau. And it's an extremely sad thing, and it's caused a lot of the population. I mean, at the time I was working, I could go virtually any place and I could show them my credentials, and there was respect there. And it's getting to the point now that I talk to people and I said, well, what do you do if an agent comes to your house? They said, I wouldn't even let you in. And so, I mean, that's a significant change, over the way it was whenever I was there. So I retired in 2011, so that gives you some idea.
Really sad, yeah.
Yeah, the decline has been phenomenal.
We had a comment to that James Comey reference, so I just need to put that up. Jeff Manley says that he was no Edgar Hoover.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Nobody messed with J. Edgar Hoover, that's for sure.
Well, Dale, tell us what are a couple of your top priorities right now?
Well, first of all, I've got a list of about 150 people in Indiana who are listed as volunteers and district captains that I'm reaching out to, and I'm trying to find out, what their experience has been with Convention of States, what we can do to make it better, if they have feedback regarding the training that we've provided them. If there's, and basically just to thank everybody for their service. That's one of the first things I do whenever I'm talking to them, to thank them for being a volunteer and for stepping forward, and just to see if there's anything we can do to support, them and their efforts. Other than that, there's just this whole idea of trying to perfect the tools that we use. We're working on some training initiatives to make sure that everybody that comes on has a nice, I guess, kind of a stratified block of training, so that they can have access to all the tools and information they need to do the job, because we don't want people to come here, sign up as a volunteer, and then not know what to do. And so we're doing all we can to educate those folks so that they have some tools at their disposal, and there's no doubt in their mind they can open up a checklist and say, okay, I can do this, I can call this person, I can go out and hand out these flyers, I can watch this programming to better educate myself, and those kind of things.
Okay. All right.
I think one of the things we've learned, in the last couple of years is that, unfortunately, we've been behind on the 8 ball. I know that we had a comment here from Shane Bigley, who goes back again to the school deal, and from everything that I've been able to see, this has gone on for decades, not just recently. This has been decades of teaching the young, and basically indoctrinating the young. So, we've got a lot to do to get caught up with the left's agenda and how far they've pushed this towards the communist side of things. So education and training, as Dale, as you're mentioning, is important because we need to know not only what is right, but why we're right, and also know that everything about the tools we have at our that our founders gave us in Article 5 in order to fight this, because we have no other real good resources other than Article 5 to get in there and make the changes, because we know Congress and the Senate certainly won't make the changes on their own.
Sure. Yeah, and if you listen to any of the congressional testimony in any place where the COS resolution's been discussed in states that have either passed it or are considering it, you see that there's some wild arguments in there. Most of it centers around a quote unquote runaway convention, and the fact that if it's ever opened up, that they're going to strip away the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, whatever. And it's all based upon fear, which is primarily what we're dealing with in our politics right now, right? If you look at COVID, it was all of the restrictions that came about during COVID were all based on the population being afraid. And so it's time to be unafraid. It's time to step forth and to step forth boldly. And if we don't do that, and if a lot of us don't make the decision to do that, then we accept what we are given.
Good point.
Well, we've gone over time on this one. So let's wrap it up. We always like to kind of wrap things up on a note of self-governance, and so Dale, I think you're exercising self-governance, and I think that's very, very important here.
I think it's one of those things where it gives me a lot of ability to interact with people through a number of ways of communication. Make phone calls. Try to alter people's opinions, change people's minds, and kind of step forward and get out of what used to be my comfort zone of just sitting at home watching TV and being quiet. Because the work that I'm involved in and the work that you all are involved in, it's going to be pivotal to our future and the future of our kids and grandkids. And so the ability, self-governance basically speaks to the ability of us to determine what happens within our own lives. We don't want to be dictated to. And so this is an opportunity for each of us to put our best foot forward and set our own path and set our own destiny.
There you go. All right.
Did want to post one comment to you there, Dale. This was from Susan, who just wanted to thank you for your service and wish we had 1 million agents like you, and wish we had 1 million more getting ready to sign up, I guess.
Well, yeah, thanks, Susan. And I mean, there are a lot of good people out there, but like I said, the organization has kind of temporarily lost its way, and that all needs to be changed. So
yeah. Dale, thank you very much. You're doing a great job, my man, and glad to have you on our team. So I want to thank you very much for coming on tonight. So
my pleasure to be here. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Dale. Good man, Ken.
Yes, we, like Susan says, we need 1 million of them.
We're fortunate to have Dale on our team.
Yep.
Sure enough.
Yep.
All right. Let's get into the Raise Your Voice segment. And if you want to get Marengo Mike to kick it off, take it away.
We'll let Marengo do it.
A segment that features you. Scan the code and join the fun. It's your turn to be heard.
Well, like Marengo says, it is time to get your phones or get on your laptops or your iPads, and we are going to start our Slido segment. And tonight, as we've mentioned before, we'll have a couple of good questions and also a quiz at the end. So get ready to handle that, and we'll bring that up here as this segment starts. Can everybody see that? You all right, Dale? Dale, we got the Slido QR code up.
Right.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the presentation then, and get the first question of the poll up. And that one is, have you ever watched the top 5 resources on the Convention of States website? We have a top 5 resources area that is offered on our website. So far, we have 100% participation there. So I guess everybody has been able to see the top 5, and we have a few that haven't, and some that are not sure. So it's a good question. I guess we have a split segment here. Have you ever watched the top 5 resources on the COS website? And I'll give you a clue that can be found for those who are not sure or who say no. That can be found on the Convention of States website on the tab Resources. So under the top 5 resources, you'll find a segment that gives the top 5. And I'll go ahead and list those so everybody knows what they are. The top 5 resources that are available are, the first one is a model of the Convention of States application. That's one of the top 5. The second one is an Article 5 pocket guide. So we have an Article 5 pocket guide available. The third one is pretty typical in most websites. It's an FAQ, or a frequently asked questions area. They'll give you some of those things that are common. And then the next one is, can we trust the Constitution? And this came up with Dale. This is a segment on how to handle the myth of the runaway convention. So that's another good one. Came up tonight. You want to find out about the runaway convention and more and find out about the truth of that. It's on our top 5. And the last one is a video. You can find out about the Convention of States in 3 minutes. So that's our first question poll. And if you need to get again more information there, please go to the website and check that out under resources. Our second question is, do you have to apply to get into COS University? Do you have to apply to get into COS University? Yes, no, or is this a trick question? So we'll wait and see what people think.
You mean
on this one.
apply like if you were trying to enter an actual university? Is that what
Well,
you're?
it is a university, is it not?
Well, yes, it is.
Okay. I think 60% of the people think it's a trick question. And now it's at about 50-50. So no, yes. Is this a trick question? I think I'll go ahead and answer that. It is kind of a trick question because you actually do have to apply, not as a regular university application, but you actually have to sign the petition. So you actually are signing an application in a way that you are able to get in. So you have to sign the application.
All right. Okay.
So a little bit of a trick question, but most people were onto that. So Dale, I'll blame that on you.
Why not? Why not? What the heck? Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try again this last time with our quiz. So we're going to ask you to join the quiz here tonight. What we have is you have 30 seconds once the quiz starts to get your answers in, and there will be a live response as to analytics. So we'll able to see the actual parts of the responses to this quiz once it starts. And we've got some people signing in now. So we've got Steve, Diane, Sue, and Susan. I've got a number of people that are signing in, getting ready to participate in the quiz. We'll give a few more seconds here to see. We got a few more people coming on. And we're getting a pretty good group now. So get ready to hit your buttons and answer the quiz as it comes up. So, in July 2015, a professor who is a leading Article 5 expert crafted an initial draft of rules for the Convention of States. Who is that professor? Is it Ben Bernanke, Ben Stein, or Robert Nadelson? You've got 30 seconds to answer that question. It's down to 5 seconds. I don't know if we've got any answers. We'll see. Maybe when the poll ends, we'll get our results. Oh, there we go. 80% said Robert Nadelson. 20% said Robert Stein. Old Ben didn't get a vote. And the 80% is correct. It is Robert Nadelson, who was the expert that helped us craft an initial draft for the rules of the Convention of States. So we thank Mr. Nadelson for his expertise. And that'll do it.
Very good question. Very good question. I'll be quite honest with you. That's not who I was thinking was the
We had you stumped, did we?
Yeah, you had me stumped. Yeah.
Who were you thinking, Dale?
I was thinking Michael Ferris, but
Yeah. He was instrumental early on, so I
he
could
was
see why you might have
instrumental.
thought that. I don't think he was a professor though, was he?
You're right. I don't think he. I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
he was, but Nadelson was. Yes,
Yeah. So
sure was. Yes, very good.
thank you for all the answers, and those 80%, they'll get. Dale will send you some kind of a prize this week.
All right. Well, Ken, we're pretty much on schedule now. So let's bring on our contributor segment, John Ackerman with John's Journal contribution. Okay.
Good to
Let's
get to
bring
that.
that on and take a look at. And it happens to be about smaller government, so it's kind of appropriate here.
Good topic.
I'm going to try and give a full screen here, so we
Okay.
won't go away. We won't go away.
John Ackerman for Convention of States, Indiana. I saw a meme from Turning Point USA that has a picture of the Constitution where it says, "We the people," in great big font. And the meme that's attached to that says, "I want a government small enough to fit in the Constitution." Amen to that, brother, sister. Amen to that. I want a government small enough to fit in the Constitution. And in my lifetime, I've seen the government grow and grow and grow. And I keep looking for a president and a Congress and a Supreme Court that will allow the government to shrink. Federal government now is one of the largest employers in the country. Maybe it's number one. Maybe it's the top employer. Hundreds of thousands of people are on the federal payroll. And the federal government is just sticking its nose in places where it's nobody's business. And we're seeing freedom rallies and freedom convoys all over the place. The big one in the news, big one in the news was the truckers convoy in Canada. And we're seeing things like that happen all over the world. And I'm old enough to remember, about a decade ago, the Arab Spring. Now, I can't endorse everything that happened in the Arab Spring, but those people were calling out for their freedom. And that's what's happening across these United States. Patriots are calling out for their freedom. They want the government to shrink. They want the government to be small enough to fit in the Constitution. And I suppose that's one of the hallmarks of the Convention of States movement. We want our government to be small enough to fit in the Constitution.
I think that was one of John's best, Dale.
You do, yeah.
I do.
He's had a lot of good ones.
Especially since we can get it in a pocket Constitution. So
How true it is.
Mhm.
Government that fits in the Constitution. How true it is. Well, let's kind of wrap things up here, Ken. And just another quick reminder, our next broadcast is going to be next Monday, August 8th. And our guest that evening is going to be our newest region captain, Susan Gervais. And this is the replacement. This was Dale Tipton's replacement as a region captain. And Susan, I've interviewed her, I've talked with her, and she's going to be great. She's going to be a great region captain. So we're going to bring her on and introduce her, and so you get to know her and become familiar with her.
Sounds good.
Want to mention once again our national website, conventionofstates.com. First place to go to become a supporter of Convention of States here in Indiana. Next roundtable coming up August 22nd. So I want to make sure everyone's aware of that date. We should have mentioned this earlier on in the broadcast tonight, but we'll mention it again here. If you have any thought or questions after the broadcast is over, or for any other reason, feel free to contact us. Email us at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. That's raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. So that's how you can get into contact with us.
Before you play that last segment, Dale, I've got just a couple of more comments I just wanted to put up real quick. Scott Goldsberry says, I'm thankful to hear somebody talking about the issues I'm having with the federal government. Thanks, guys. So
nice comment. Nice comment.
Nice comment out there. And of course, just to wrap it all up, Susan Lyon says, we decide.
Yeah. You can always count on Susan Lyon to submit some good comments or questions.
She's a regular contributor in a different way, isn't she?
Yes. And Susan Lyon, folks, happens to be our newsletter editor, along with Ken, and Susan does a fantastic job on our newsletter. So she's very in tune and very on top of issues and so forth. So she's that's why her questions and comments are so good. Well, I want to we got time tonight, Ken. I want to kind of wrap things up with another contribution from Marengo Mike. And
good to hear from Marengo. Yep.
This is on free speech. So let's let Marengo Mike have a little time here.
All right.
Hello and welcome to another Marengo Mike's Corner. Today's feature, Assault on Freedom. And no, it's not fiction. It's not a Twilight Zone remake. It's a peek into our life as we know it, 2022. An attack and encroachment on our Constitution and freedoms, beginning with our freedom of speech. Take a seat and join Convention of States as we mobilize the largest grassroots army to limit government overreach. As we look in on this discussion, we find 3 of the 8 people have been silenced because their point of view differed from those on the other side of the table, and 1 failed to use a pronoun to address a person at the table. This is happening today in social media platforms as well as corporate scenarios all across our country. It is not a fictional scene from a movie. So, as images of a variety of speech go by, whether you like or dislike some, agree or disagree with others, the fact remains, free speech, as the First Amendment of our Constitution, guarantees freedom of expression and the rights of our individuals to speak freely. Neither big tech or our government should be able to censor or control our right to free speech. And that's all for now. See you next time. Bye-bye now.
Well, a little contribution there from Marengo Mike.
He's on top of it, I think.
I'll tell you, the guy that does Marengo Mike, he's really he's pretty sharp, you know.
Yeah, I got to figure out who that is. We got to send him something.
You know, that maybe that ought to be a quiz question. Who is the voice of Marengo Mike?
We might have to use that. That might be a good quiz question.
You know, Ken, should we be giving a prize, do you think, on those quiz questions?
I think we ought to look into it.
We ought to think about that. You know, maybe
we have these new pins we've got. Maybe we could give out a pin.
That's right.
That's just a thought.
The winning, yeah. We'll need some mailing information and so forth, but
yeah.
Good. We'll think about that. Okay.
Good thing to ponder.
Yeah. Well, I always like to wrap up the broadcast with our favorite acronym, like you mentioned earlier, GOTC, get off the couch. And so many of us have gotten to that point in our lives and decided it was time to get off the couch and do something. And we have joined Convention of States, and we encourage and hope and invite those of you viewing tonight, if you're not a supporter of Convention of States, we invite you to join our family. And, you know, Dale mentioned nationally, we've got about 5.3 million. Well, folks, we have 65,000 supporters here in the state of Indiana. And this whole broadcast is focused on those of you in Indiana that are not part of Convention of States. So we would love to have you join us and be counted and added into that 65,000 number. So go to the national website and start the process. Ken, any last words or anything?
No, I think you hit it on the head there, Dale. I think you know, people in the state have to understand we are a leading state in this. I mean, we were the 6th state to pass, but you know, we are doing things to help the remaining states that we need to bring on board. We're setting a good path for them to follow, and hopefully get the remaining states that we've got here, so that in a short amount of time now we can get that Constitution and actually see this thing through.
Yeah. A couple more quiz questions, Ken. How many states have passed the resolution?
We might have to use that one next time. Although you're giving some people some time to do some research, Dale.
And how many states are required to call the convention? Just throwing out some things there.
Just some questions to get briefed on. Yep.
There you go. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And once again, we strongly invite you to join Convention of States. Express your activism through Convention of States. So with that said, good night, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good night.